Hey, what's up, Gunslinger Nation? Welcome back. I've got a game today that almost nobody is talking about, and I have no idea why. Last year, I randomly found the demo for this game called Rise of the Ronin while browsing on the PlayStation Store. I had never even heard of it, but I figured, what the heck, I'll give it a shot, and holy crap, was I shocked. I was hooked almost immediately. Now, Rise of the Ronin has finally launched on PC, and yet there's barely any hype around it. I haven't heard one person talk about it. This game blends Ghost of Tsushima samurai combat with classic Assassin's Creed mechanics, but far more freedom for the player than either of them. So why is no one talking about it? Let's change that. This game takes place in the mid 1800s of Japan during the Bakumatsu era, one of the most pivotal periods in Japanese history. At this time, Japan was completely divided. On one side, you had the pro-shogunate forces who want to keep Japan isolated from Western influence, and on the other, you have the anti-shogunate revolutionaries who want to open Japan's borders and embrace modernization. And you get to decide which side to fight for. But here's the best part. You're not locked into one faction. You can switch sides at any time, backstab allies, manipulate both, or play them against each other. Unlike most historical games where the story plays out the same way no matter what, Rise of the Ronin lets you shape the fate of Japan to some extent. And your influence depends on what happens to your allies and what happens to certain people. Now, this is where Rise of the Ronin truly shines. The combat is fast, fluid, and brutally satisfying. But you're not just locked into swordplay. You can switch between katanas, dual blades, polearms, firearms, even throw bombs or use a flamethrower. The counters feel incredible when you time them right. And just like in Neo, if I'm saying that right, it's Nioh. I don't know how to pronounce that. Combat rewards precision and aggression. Traversal is another highlight. You're not just running from place to place. You've got horseback riding, a glider, even a grappling hook to zip through cities and enemy camps. It's like they took Ghost of Tsushima, added Assassin's Creed parkour, and threw in Team Ninja's combat for good measure. And when you're not fighting, there's ton to do. You've got bounties to hunt, historical figures to interact with, faction missions to complete, and yes, you can even find and pet cats. This is a true open world samurai RPG, and freedom it gives you is what makes it so fun. Let's talk about why I love this game. The combat feels incredible. Every time I got into a duel, I felt like I was in a real samurai battle, reading opponents, countering at the perfect moment, and delivering that final devastating blow. Or I could go around, or I could just simply assassinate them from the air, from the glider. I could sneak up on them and assassinate them. It was a mix of samurai versus ninja, mixed with a ninja. It was so cool. The world is immersive. I've never felt like I was just checking off icons on a box. Everything I did, whether it was tracking down bounties, helping locals, or getting involved in political struggles, it felt like part of my own journey. And the story, it actually reacts to your choices. I've seen critics say that there's too much side content, but honestly, I wanted more. I did not want this experience to end, and I was so upset because you could go back and replay missions, but they did not add. They at the time they did not have a Game Plus option. I was so upset about this because I wanted to keep going. Now let's talk about some of the criticism floating around. Some players have reported performance issues on PC from the research I've done, including frame rate drops and optimization problems. I can't speak on that because the game just released, and these people were reviewing the game before it released on PC. But I will be testing it myself. I already bought the PC version, it's installing right now, so expect a follow up video and probably some live streams of this game, where I'll break down exactly how well or how badly it runs. Another common complaint is that the game has too many activities, making it feel like an Ubisoft style open world, but personally, I disagree. Every mission felt meaningful. I never once felt like I was doing pointless busy work, and it was just fun traversing the landscape because they made everything so unique. Then there's the loot system. Some critics say there's too much gear with minor stat changes, but honestly, I enjoyed upgrading my weapons and skills. If you like Neo, not I don't know how to pronounce this game. It's Nioh handled loot. This won't bother you. At the end of the day, These are nitpicks, and none of them take away from how fun this game actually is. So, should you play Rise of the Ronin? If you love Ghost of Tsushima and the old school Assassin's Creed games, this game is an absolute must play. If you're on PC, you might want to wait a bit, possibly, maybe, to see if the performance issues get patched. They might even get patched for their first installation. But overall, this is one of the best open world games based in Japan, where you get a mix of ninja and samurai, and you get to pick your stats on what kind of combat style you use. You can use all weapons, but each combat style uses has set weapons for that combat style. But you can use any weapon. Like, you can have a combat style that uses dual blades, but you can still use a katana. It's just not as proficient as if you use dual blades. So it is so amazing because they have like 4 or 5 different combat styles that you can choose from, and depending on which style you go with, depends on your growth in the game as well, because each combat style has special skills for that combat style. It is so freaking cool. So I gotta ask, so what do you think? Have you heard of Rise of the Ronin, or is this your first time hearing about it? Drop a comment below and let's talk about it. And if all else, join the Discord and let's continue the conversation. The link will be in the description with all my social medias. I appreciate y'all tuning in. I'll catch y'all in the next one.